The Mandela effect. Okay, so I looked up the definition of the Mandela effect today, right? I haven't done it since 2016, really. Back then, I was following everything every single day. Okay, there'd be something new, some new article, and I would read it and I would save it and download it because I wanted to learn how I'd shifted. Okay, I never doubted that I shifted. Once I became aware that the sun was white and not yellow, okay, once I became aware that my heart was not on the left but in the center, my kidneys, we used to be on the Syrian arm, on the We Are Here posters. We used to be over here. Now we're here. We're on the Sirius arm. Okay. If you watched my other videos, you know kind of what really stuck out for me and what made me know for sure that I had shifted. Okay. So I knew for sure that I had shifted. I never doubted. I never went and asked other people. I don't ask other people to validate my mind. Okay? I don't go over there, read a certain book, pick something up, and then ask someone else if I did it. Okay? I know my mind. Do I forget things? Yeah, of course. But I couldn't believe it today when I looked it up, and it's a mass psychosis, right? We are misremembering, just like they do with victims. You got false memories. So no wonder if you got a new date or a new friend and you start talking to them about the Mandela effect and they Google it, if they've never heard of it. Well, first of all, you probably don't want to be dating them if they haven't anyway, right? Because, anyway, the point is, it says right there at the top, Mandela effect, about it being a kind of a mass delusion, a mental disorder. So, the people that I give spiritual counseling, spiritual advice, psychic readings, healing about the Mandela effect are mostly to assist them to navigate the other people in their lives. Okay? Because they're constantly being gaslighted by, as you can see, that's the predetermined what you're supposed to know about it. Okay, it's just a delusion. The powers that be don't want you to know that you can change reality, right? They don't want you to know that you move realities billions of times a minute based on your own consciousness, based on your own beliefs. Okay, they want you to create reality for them, the reality that they want. Okay, because it's said that the reptilian, the Anunnaki, whatever, let's just call it the bad guy people, whatever, can't create reality. So they need to use, propaganda, fear, violence, whatever they can to get you to create the reality that they prefer, that they want. Okay, they don't want you to know that you have the power to create reality and a shift. Okay, so the people that I give advice to and help with healing, they either can't or won't or don't have the courage to shift out of their life where they're around people all the time that are abusive to them or that say, you didn't remember that didn't happen that way. You can literally experience something right next to someone and experience it completely different than them. Okay? You're in different frequencies. Like a radio station, okay? If you're tuned into one station, you hear that. You don't hear both at the same time. Whatever frequency you're tuning into, that's what you see, that's what you experience. And it could be different than the person right next to you, okay? So there seems to be a bigger and bigger push now to convince you that you are delusional, okay? That you have a mental disorder, that you're part of mass remembering. Or isn't it just funny? Oh my gosh, I forgot, like all those jokes of I forgot what I headed into the kitchen for, right? You forget things that you don't ever really forget. It's always in the Akashic record. You can sit down. But what we do is we prioritize, what's the most important thing to us. So it's very important that you don't hang out with anybody that's constantly gaslighting you, saying that you are misremembering, okay? You're constantly navigating that energy, and then you're not working on creating your reality, okay? So, like I said, back then, in 2016, when I knew for sure that I had shifted, and I have other videos about my heart and my different things for me. If you have any questions or want to work with me and get spiritual advice or anything, my email is reverendcrystalcox@gmail.com. I noticed tonight that there is a pretty big campaign to convince those around us that we have a mental disease. that we're delusional, that we're misremembering, okay? I know when I was growing up and in my 20s and 30s that the sun was yellow. Okay, I don't have a doubt about it. I don't need to ask anybody. I took thousands and thousands, if not millions, of photos. There's tons of residual evidence. I don't doubt it. I know I shifted. Okay. Same with my heart. I absolutely know my heart was on the left. Had a bunch of heart tests. Saw it on an EKG. Saw it on a ultrasound. You know, I don't doubt it. Okay, so if you have people in your life that are constantly gaslighting you and telling you you didn't experience what you experienced, you need to get away from them. It's not about loving them or not loving them. Okay, you create versions of people in your life, but if they're constantly at you or making fun of you about it, it's really not healthy for you. And that's kind of what I work with people on. Like, why are they hanging out with people that are so abusive to them in the first place? And so I provide spiritual support for people who have been affected by the Mandela effect, affected because of the other people around them that abuse them and gaslight them and society. Not necessarily convincing them, oh, this was this and that was that. It's different for everybody, okay? We all come from different realities. We all have different experiences. We're all unique, okay? But to comfort them because they're losing people in their lives, they either have to put up with that kind of abuse. I mean, it's fine if they're like, okay, well, we can agree to disagree but it's pretty shocking, some of the stories, right? Where all of a sudden their partner didn't like something they've always liked, something that's just they were adamant about, okay? And the fact that we move thousands of light years, to me, it's a fact, okay? It's not any sort of delusion or misremembering, okay? It's not just trivia like a song or a name of this or that, okay? It's across the board. It's astronomy, it's anatomy, it's so many things. And like the Jane Goodall, right? Very profound to me, being into apes, studying apes, okay? I went to high school with this gal, and she wrote a book about it, and her hero was Jane Goodall, and it was all about the study of the apes, and, it was a big deal. And in this reality, last I looked, it's chimpanzees, okay? I don't say, oh, I must have misremembered it wasn't apes. They're a whole different sort of thing, right? They're a whole different deal. And so for me, having had heart tests and knowing that my heart was on the left in 2014, that in 2016, when I'm looking at anatomy that says the heart is not on the left and there's residual anatomy, but most of it's saying the heart's in the center, like, I didn't say to myself, that this didn't happen, okay, or I didn't see it that way, or no, the sun was never yellow, okay? The lion and the lamb scripture, there's lots of residue on the internet. There's residue everywhere. You come across a book, you come across something, at the secondhand shop or whatever. And it just really fascinated me which scriptures changed, why they changed. And people are like, well, there's a newer version, or you just remember the scripture different. No, okay? Some people that were in a Bible school or Christian school or Catholic school, they had it hammered into them over and over and over, like the Lord's Prayer, and it changed. Okay, it's not you misremembered. And so if you have people in your life who think that, just get away from them, okay? Because that's what you're going to constantly be defending. No, it's a thing. It's really a thing. And the fact that people call it the Mandela effect. But that double-blind split quantum, where the observer affects the scientific experiment, okay? So whatever it is that you are looking at, you're affecting it, okay? You're affecting that reality. We are quantum. We shift to different versions of reality all the time, okay? So the fact that there's some sort of a campaign among the Googleites and all these dark overlords trying to, really just flat out say horrible things about people that are experiencing it, okay? And it's even horrible to say, oh, well, they just forgot, or it's a mass misremembering, it's like, but they actually, like, talk about, mental health counselors and what they have to say about it. I don't need a whole bunch of mental health counselors and a whole bunch of like thousands of people. I don't need a million people in front of me telling me I didn't experience what I experienced, because I knows that I experienced what I experienced. Okay. Do I forget things and misremember some things? Yes. Duh. But I have photographic memory. I can bring up books where I've seen it in. I can bring up maps I've seen it in. I can bring up places. I can bring up songs, right? Colors like, fuchsia. And there's so many colors that have changed what they call them, and I'm not going to let somebody tell me that I'm delusional or have some sort of mental disorder because I'm misremembering reality or how life was. Okay, I know for sure. So, I give spiritual advice to people to comfort them on the loss of the people in their lives, because they're like, well, that person's gone. They kind of died. Yeah, they kind of did. And you shifted to a reality where it's them, but it's not really the version of them that you say grew up with or spent time with in your 20s and 30s, because they're a different person. I had things happen in my 20s and 30s where my then partner experienced something at the exact same time, completely opposite as me. And I was, real butthurt about it. I took it personal. I'm like, I, that she didn't remember what I experienced or experienced it my way. And I felt it kind of like some sort of attack. It turns out we really can have the same experience, but a different experience with the experience, and really actually have lived through a different version of that scenario or that event. And I didn't know that was possible. And so the Mandela effect is, and I only call it that because that's what a lot of people do, but there's so much information now. There's so much trivia out there. It looks like nonsense, right? And the people that I would watch a video, they would tell, they'd tell one thing, a couple things, and you could kind of digest it. But now they do like a 1 to 4 hour talk, and the different animals or anatomy changes are kind of throughout it. So you got to pick it all out. There's just so much of it. But to completely deny it and say everybody's misremembering is mass gaslighting. And it really, that's the kind of stuff that you folks get your feelings hurt and you get, really triggers you. But it's a test of like, do you know your mind? Do you know who you are? Okay. And we're really being tested that in society now for other reasons, right? So if you know who you are and you know what you experienced, don't let anybody try to talk you out of it. And don't pretend like, oh yeah, you're probably right. I must just be misremembering. No, you know. And I don't mean everything, but these things are huge, okay? My kidneys were here and now they're here. That's huge. They always used to say, don't punch somebody here. Don't let the air get there. And the kidneys now are not there. The heart's now in the center, right behind, the amount of ribs we have changed. There is so many changes with the Mandela effect. They just kind of made it some sort of a mass psychosis, and then they just pushed it away, okay? They just deny you your experience, and you just kind of go with it. Okay, well, those others that I give advice to, they just kind of become complacent with it because they're like, well, so what? Yeah, I know for sure that I moved, but I don't know why. I don't know how to move to a reality I prefer. I don't really understand it. And they get kind of complacent with it, okay? Well, then we come down to why I talk so much about consciously creating reality. And in my healing with people, I help them to unwind the belief systems and understand what they believe so that they can consciously create their reality. Okay, instead of just unconsciously creating it on other people's beliefs, and then you just kind of I was going to say flop. You just kind of flop and flounder into a reality that's created for you based on what other people believe. But when you're conscious, you can consciously shift. Well, not consciously. Now you can shift. Then you work on being your highest and best self, removing all your triggers, removing all your programs, and working on shifting to a reality you prefer within the limit of that game level or matrix or whatever of the mass consciousness. That information's another day. But so yeah, don't let people gaslight you. Someone doesn't, you just get ready to have a date and say something about the Mandela effect, and then they Google it, and on top of the page it says, "She's crazy! Run, 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 run!" And they do, right? Don't worry about it. They weren't meant to be in your life if the Mandela effect freaks them out, okay? So, gosh, I wouldn't even know where to begin of all of them. Like I said in the beginning, it was really fun for me. If you build it, they will come, never existing, because that was, my whole motto for my church and so many things my whole life. If you build it, they will come. That doesn't exist in this reality. Life was like a box of chocolates. Okay. Well, you misremembered. No, I didn't. I didn't misremember. Okay. I know for sure. Not everything, but I was really surprised today to see just how aggressively abusive they are at the top of the search engines to describe us. And so people automatically think we're crazy, right? Crazy for the Mandela effect. So I'm going to do some more videos on this. In the description of this video, there'll be a link to my Mandela effect channel on Rumble. And I've been advising a lot of people they've kind of just given up on it. They're like, yeah, well, it is, I believe it, but it doesn't really affect my life, and I don't really know what to do about it. I don't know what, and so that's why I move into what I mostly talk about is assisting people to create their reality consciously, okay, to remove everything from their life that's not their authentic self, to know your beliefs, okay, because your beliefs and emotions create your reality. And so I stopped calling it so much the Mandela effect and more calling it creating your reality consciously, because it's not just Nelson Mandela that people remember different, right? It's millions of things. And it's not false memories. Trust yourself, trust your memories, and don't hang out with people who gaslight you and tell you constantly just how stupid you are for believing something that, they're like, look here, or they might Google it and be like, look here, it's a mental disorder. Look at what all these mental health counselors. I don't really, mental health counselors, I guess in modern day, there's some pretty cool people out there doing some cool things in that industry. But in general, they're not looking at it as you creating your own reality. They're not looking at it as quantum. They're just, talking your story over and over and over. And the more you talk about your story, the more you create that reality. Right. And so, but I just want you to know, and who am I, right? Whatever, but that you're not crazy. You don't have a mental illness. You're not delusional because you remember something different than someone else did. Both realities, all truths exist at the same time. Okay? There's not just one version of truth. There's no such thing as facts. Everything is subjective perspective. Your unique experience creates the lens that you look through life and that you create and what you bring into focus in this holographic reality. Okay, so remove people from your life who don't believe you, because what's the sense in having them? If you just tolerate them or pretend you're someone you're not around them, then you're not creating a life that's of your authentic self. Okay? Don't be gaslighted by any Google searches. And now it's just not fun, right? Really Googling it. I mean, there's like, top 45 Mandelas, and some of it's kind of fun when you look at it, but it's not really just a trivia game or a trivia matter, and it's certainly not a mental disorder, okay? You shifted realities, okay? If you're looking at a video titled The Mandela Effect, you know the sun was yellow, you know it's white now. Okay, a lot of people are unnerved by it. Sometimes I am. I'm like, it's just too white, right? But the cool thing about the white sun is that we have circular rainbows. We have double and triple rainbows. We have rainbow horizons that are just the whole, not even really in a line, but just the whole horizon of rainbow. The white suns created different lighting in photos, different lighting on water, and it's pretty incredible and amazing. So when you stay in the awe and the wonder and you trust yourself, then you create more of a reality that's more in tune with what you want to live Okay, versus allowing people to have access to you that are gaslighting, that are telling you constantly you did not experience what you experienced. There's no way, it's not true, it can't happen, blah, 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 blah. Okay, so I understand what you're going through. I talk to many of you monthly at least, and I understand how painful it can be losing people in your life or making that choice whether to either say, no, you can't talk to me that way, or, lose them. But there's really, to me, there's no option of pretending that you don't know what you know, or pretending that you don't remember something you remember. Okay. And it's not about what you don't. I mean, like, I don't remember. I can bring up some things, but I don't remember much of anything before the age of 10, right? So I've seen photos, and sometimes I'll bring up the photo in my mind as if it's a memory. So if the photo changed, I would know. But as far as things changing from childhood, to a certain extent, I don't know. And I'm 51 now, so that's just kind of a little tangent. So I'm not saying I remember everything, whether we block stuff due to trauma or whatever. But the point is that you know things for sure. So don't let people convince you that you don't know what you know. It is painful, sometimes really painful, to walk your truth, to be your truth. But it's very important that we do so. And they have quite a campaign going out there about the Mandela effect and trying to get you to not to believe that it's not real. It's not a parallel dimension thing. You're not interdimensional. You're not quantum. Meanwhile, we have quantum computers. We have quantum this, where they talk about parallel realities, and that you can have a like an electron in this reality and it reacts in that reality, and but they are kind of pulling the reins back on, well, it's just mass remembering. So like, if you had chocolate pie at lunch and you got 100 people that said you didn't, you start to question it, right? Well, don't. Okay, know your truth and just turn away from those 100 people. They're not your people. They're not your tribe, you see. So anybody gaslighting you? Just say no to gaslighting. Just walk away. Okay? This is your life. You really do get to choose who you're around. Okay? Have the courage to do it. I always love to tell people that if you are 100% honest, authentic, true self, you can trust that whatever you say in that mode, that the result is you're creating a reality that is of your authentic self. You're creating a reality that's true to you. If you tell the truth, even if it hurts, even if you lose people in your life, the resulting reality will be one that you really prefer. But it's so hard to let go, right? Because we're addicted to attention, addicted to love, addicted to someone else completing us, okay? Well, the Mandela effect shows you're the only one in the universe. You experienced your reality, okay? Now, if you have someone in your life who said you didn't, that's your choice. But I do healing work on a lot of people that have just kind of just pretend now that they just haven't. They're like, yeah, I guess it was just a thing. I guess it was just a misremembering or trivia, or they just hide it, But it's important to understand the Mandela effect. I'm not saying I know what it is or how it is, or I've tried to perfect it. I've tried for the last 6 years to really dive into every trigger and every program to create the reality I prefer. However, Spirit shows me many, many times that I can only go to a certain level until the collective goes to a higher level. So there's only so much I can experience, but there's still a whole lot more. However, still working on, belief systems, still working on triggers and traumas and programs in my ancestral line to be able to move into, to create the reality that I want to be living in. And so anyway, there's just a little bit about the Mandela effect. I love you. I counsel. I have, meetings with people on the Mandela effect, and I mostly the biggest thing is not whether they experienced it or really even what it is, because they kind of feel like they know what it is in general, best we can, but it's to assist them to get through the abuse that they're accepting in their life by the people that don't believe them, the people that tell them they have a mental illness, the people that try to send them to the psychiatrist because they know that they've shifted timelines. Those are mostly the people that come to my Mandela Effect groups and that I give spiritual advice to with the Mandela Effect. Anyway, I'm Reverend Crystal Cox, Universal Church of Light. We're a 501 nonprofit out of Washington. If you'd like to donate to our church, our PayPal for our nonprofit is U, the letter U, churchoflight@gmail.com. And it's a sensitive subject for a lot of people. But today, when I saw the top singing in the search engines, I was like, oh, no wonder people think that people are crazy. They have a mental issue. They have all these problems with the Mandela effect because that's what they're pushing. And I didn't really know that because I just shift, and I stopped looking at it and just worked on how to perfect myself and teaching people how to create reality consciously. All right, bye for now. I love you.